There was no small death-hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity.
Yes, so we have to look at the pronunciation and the flow of those lines better.
Yeah.
There was no small death-hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity.
Mm.
Try those three again.
There was no small death-hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity.
Now that makes so much sense. Huh?
Yeah.
Good, good. And we don't have anything to say here. I mean, except that Ashwapati has grown so rapidly in his consciousness
Mm.
that he's no longer a death-hunted creature.
Yeah.
Is no longer any fragile form of being to preserve from this
Mm.
immensity that's all swallowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we carry on.
The great hammer beats of a pent-up world heart burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe against the forces of the universe.
Yeah, see, now you're reading much better. I think you're just getting into the flow of it.
Yeah.
So these hammer beats of this pent up world heart no longer apply to him because they burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe
Mm.
against the forces of the universe. He is no longer um, in any danger from them,
Mm.
these narrow dams and that keep us safe against these immense forces of the universe. So
Mm.
the soul, the next line, the soul refers to Ashwapati.
Yeah. The soul and cosmos faced as equal powers.
Look how he's progressed.
Yeah.
He's an equal power with the
With the
cosmos.
cosmos. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When we widen our consciousness as large as the cosmos, would we also be susceptible to like bad forces that exist? Um, because I think on the path we are supposed to widen our consciousness more and more, not stay in this narrow limit.
Yes.
But when we do that, like, um, because there are also a lot of negative forces in the cosmos, right? And would we be open to
Well,
those?
not so much. There are the elder gods,
Okay.
who we call the Asuras,
Mm-hmm.
but they do most of their work on the earth, on human beings.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the power of the divine or the divine mother.
Mm-hmm.
So he faces this cosmos as an equal power, uh, but those negative things are not there in my understanding. They
Okay.
are. We do have the individual, we have the cosmic, and we have the transcendent.
Yeah.
Now, the cosmic is extremely vast, but
Mm.
where we get into trouble is in the personal,
Mm.
which is our life upon earth.
Mm.
And because that's where evolution has to take place.
Yeah.
It doesn't take place in the cosmos, and it doesn't take place in the transcendence.
Mm.
It takes place here on this earth. Not
Right.
even in other worlds. No, it doesn't talk about them very much in other worlds.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. A boundless being in a measureless time invaded nature with the infinite. He saw unpathed, unwalled his titan scope.
Yes. So we see a couple of things here. First of all, he has become a boundless being in time that's measureless.
Mm.
I don't know of any that we could say that of any other avatar except Mother.
Mm.
All of them brought down great things, but boundless being in a measureless time. Yes, many of them realized the divine and decided to stay there.
Mm.
Great souls. Now, Christ is a little different, but Raman Maharshi and Ramakrishna and the Vibhutis, such
Mm.
as we know many Vibhutis, they, they are not totally boundless beings in a measureless time.
Mm.
This is reserved for the present avatars. And then he goes on that they invaded nature with the infinite.
Mm.
This is the most interesting line because nature is the universe with
Mm.
all of its phenomena. And it's the material world also. And that has never been invaded before with the infinite to the
Mm.
extent that Sri Aurobindo and Mother have done it. When
Mm.
Krishna comes into his body, when he has the first realization of the supermental, when Mother breaks open the door and the supermental floods the earth. And Mother's spoken about many other things too, like the ship where all the people are getting off as they're as those who have evolved and those who are partially evolved. So Ashwapati or Sri Aurobindo has invaded nature with the infinite. And invaded is a very interesting word here because he's actually come into nature with all that force, like an invasion. And he sees his path, and his path is unwalled, as is his Titan scope. Now, there's no reference to the Titan here. It's a lowercase t, so
Yeah.
it just means gigantic or immense scope.
Mm.
So he saw unpath. Now that's interesting also because there's no path.
Yeah.
And in the yoga, he tells all of us, each of us have our own path.
Mm.
And all other yogas and religions, you have to follow a specific path.
Mm.
Patanjali's yoga, etc., etc. And they're very rigid and they can lead you to the divine. But they're not what Sri Aurobindo is talking about in bringing down the supermind. So
All
there's
was
much more.
all was uncovered to his sealess eye. Sealless eye.
Sealless.
Sealless eye.
Yeah. So the eye has no seals,
Right.
wide open.
Yeah.
And everything, therefore, is uncovered to it.
Mm-hmm. A secret nature stripped off her defense, once in a dreaded half-light formidable, overtaken in her mighty privacy, lay bare to the burning splendor of his will.
So it's actually, the British like to pronounce it privacy.
Privacy.
Privacy. And I keep the British pronunciation.
Mm.
So everything is uncovered to Ashwapati's seerless eye. And this secret nature no longer has a defense against that. Because it was once in a very dreaded half-light, something so formidable, and now it's overtaken in her mighty privacy. And it even lays bare to this splendor, this burning splendor of Ashwapati's will.
Mm. In shadowy chambers, lit by a strange sun, and opening hardly to hid mystic keys, her perilous arcanes and hooded powers confessed the advent of a mastering mind, and bore the compulsion of a time-born gaze.
Yeah, a lot to go through here, so we'll take it slowly. So these shadowy chambers lit by a strange sun. Uh, We don't really know what they are. They're part of this whole cosmic development, construction, if you will. And they're hardly even opening to these hid mystic keys. And then he speaks about her perilous arcanes and hooded powers, capitalizing the word power. Well, perilous, of course, is very dangerous,
Yeah.
fraught with danger. Arcanes are secret or obscure things. They're understood by very few people. And hooded powers. Well, hooded powers are powers that, when you have a hood on something, people can't see.
Yeah.
And they used to wear these masks and hoods. So that's the hooded powers and the perilous arcanes. And Sri Aurobindo tells us about these powers. And I'll read a little in the letter on yoga because it's very important. These are the forces and the beings that are interested in maintaining the falsehood they have created in the world of ignorance. That's how old. And in putting them forward as the truth, which men must follow. In India, they are termed asuras, rakshasas, pisachas, beings respectively of the mentalized vital, middle vital, and lower vital planes. See, that I haven't seen very often in Sri Aurobindo's books. He's very clear here. So the asuras are of the mentalized vital. The rakshasas are of this middle vital range. And the lower vital range are these little pisachas. Being who are in opposition to the gods and the powers of light. And he says these two are powers, for they too have their cosmic field in which they exercise their function and authority. And some of them were once divine powers, the former gods, Purvedeva, as they are called somewhere in the Mahabharata, who have fallen towards the darkness by revolt against the divine will behind the cosmos. So the divine will is behind everything, but these gods exist. These beings, these powers exist. And they were even called former gods. And Mother talks, the story that Mother tells, the parable about the descent of the great beings and how they changed. So now we go to find that they confessed the advent of a mastering mind. To confess something in this instance means to admit it as true. To admit something as true. And the advent in modern usage, especially poetical usage, means any arrival that is grand, epoch-making. And we've covered mind many times, I think, so we'll go into mind now. And bore the compulsion of a time-born gaze. Well, this is so interesting because Ashwapati, there's no question that he's time-born. He's living in a human body. He has to be time-born. And this word compulsion is very interesting in this particular section because the compulsion and this advent of this mastering mind actually has the power to look at them and they have to bear it. They have to bear that compulsion because it's a strong, irresistible force on them. Now, we have compel, which is compulsion is the past tense of compel.
Mm.
So he is exerting a strong and irresistible force on them. He's even subduing them.
Mm.
Okay, we'll carry on.
Incalculable in their wizard modes, immediate and invincible in the act, her secret strengths native to greater worlds, lifted above our needy limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods, and the sure power pattern of her cryptic signs, her diagrams of geometric force, her potencies of marvel fraught design, courted employment by an earth.
He's talking here about these things
Mm,
that are in the cosmos. Huh?
yeah.
And he says that they're incalculable. You can't calculate them. They're wizard modes. And they are immediate and invincible in the act. They're incalculable, incapable of being overcome or defeated,
Mm,
and unconquerable, we could say. Her secret strengths, native to greater worlds. So these are these beings and these forces that are native to greater worlds, and they have secret strengths, but they're native to greater worlds, and they're lifted above our needy, limited scope. And it's the occult privilege of demigods. And that is very important because and the sure power pattern of her cryptic signs. And all of these things are available there. Cryptic signs are secret. They're
mm.
occult signs. They're mysterious signs, puzzling signs. And we'll just take a moment and go. The demigods are the deities who were once human and later became gods. And that is something from the Vedic scriptures.
Mm.
And I didn't really know that. Um,
Sri Aurobindo tells Champaklal ji that he's become a demigod at some point.
yeah, I think he did. He did tell me that, yeah. So we see that there were many Greek demigods also, Roman demigods. There was Zeus, and Hercules, and many others. So um, we got that. Now we have to go to it's an occult privilege of the demigods. And what is that? And it's a sure power pattern of her cryptic signs. Her diagrams of geometric force or potencies of marble fraught design are courted employment. Courted here, when you court something, you attempt to gain something out of it.
Yeah.
So Ashwapati is courting all of these forces, these designs, these potencies, these power patterns, etc., by an earth nursed mind, because he is on earth.
Mm.
He is, and that mind is his, but it's earth nursed.
Yeah.
And we'll go on.
A conscious nature's quick machinery, armed with the latent splendor of miracle, the prophet passion of a seeing mind, and the lightning bareness of a free soul force.
Yes, the lightning bareness of a free soul force. So let me go back to the last lines. Okay. So he's courted employment of these faculties, these great powers that are there. And he has a full stop after might.
Yeah.
And he says a conscious nature's quick machinery. Nature is always creating and destroying. She's has a very quick machinery. Always, one new thing is better than the last. And that's the way nature creates. And she is armed with this latent, it's basically not yet manifested. It's concealed, hidden, or undeveloped latent splendor of miracle. And even the prophet passion of a seeing mind. This seeing mind is Ashwapati. And then we go to the next page, and we have, and the lightning awareness of a free soul force. And this is where Ashwapati is now. He's risen so high. And let's read the next 4 lines or 3, and then you can read the whole thing.
All once impossible deemed could now become a natural limb of possibility, a new domain of normalcy supreme.
Yes, because everything that seemed to be impossible before, when he was only at a certain level of realization, now it can become a natural limb of possibility. Deemed here means thought or judged to be. So all that was impossible, that was deemed, could now become a natural limb of possibility. A new domain of supreme normalcy. The domain is a sphere of activity.
Yeah.
It's a field. Huh? And normalcy, of course, is quality of being normal. Simply that. It's a new domain of supreme normalcy. And let's read just a little more.
Yeah.
A mighty
An almighty occultist erects in space this seeming outward world which tricks the sense. He weaves his hidden threads of consciousness. He builds bodies for his shapeless energy. Out of the unformed and vacant vast, he has made his sorcery of solid images, his magic of formative number and design, the fixed irrational links none can annul, this crisscross tangle of invisible laws. His infallible rules, his covered processes, achieve unerringly an inexplicable creation where our error carves dead frames of knowledge for a living ignorance.
Yeah, a number of things to cover here. Create an inexplicable creation where our error carves dead frames of knowledge. And then the word annul.
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 And annul.
Annul.
Yes, annul. It's accent on the second syllable. Annul. The fixed, irrational links none can annul.
The fixed, irrational links none can annul.
Good, you got it. Okay. And inexplicable.
Inexplicable.
Achieve unerringly and inexplicable creation.
Unerringly and inexplicable creation.
Yes, very good. So we're seeing what the divine does. He begins by saying this seeming outward world which tricks the sense because we don't see the inner world.
Yeah.
He weaves his hidden threads of consciousness. He builds bodies for his shapeless energy because the divine has no body.
Mhm.
He builds those bodies for his shapeless energy. And out of the unformed and vacant vast, he has made what? His
His
sorcery.
sorcery of solid images.
Yes, his magic of formative. Formative is giving form, shaping. Formative number and design, and even the fixed irrational, because they're not endowed with reason, which
Mm.
is they're illogical, they're absurd. They're inconsistent with reason or logic. He has he has made his sorcery of solid images, his magic of formative number and design, and the fixed irrational links none can know. Even this crisscross tangle of invisible laws, his infallible rules, infallible are incapable of failure
Mhm.
or error, not liable to failure. And they achieve unerringly an inexplicable, which means impossible to explain, creation. And in that creation, our error carves dead frames of knowledge for living ignorance. Oh, what an ending. Now, we're getting short on time, so I have to ask you to
Yeah.
read from the beginning.
There was no small death-hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity. The great hammer beats of a pent-up world heart burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe against the forces of the universe. The soul and cosmos faced as equal powers. A boundless being in a measureless time invaded nature with the infinite. He saw unpathed, unwalled, his titans. All was uncovered to his seeing-less eye. A secret nature stripped of her defense, once in a dreaded half-light formidable, overtaken in her mighty privacy, lay bare to the burning splendor of his will. In shadowy chambers lit by a strange sun, and opening hardly to hid mystic keys, her perilous arcanes and hooded powers confess the advent of a mastering mind and bore the compulsion of a time-born gaze. Incalculable in their wizard modes, immediate and invincible in the act, her secret strengths native to greater worlds, lifted above our needy limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods, and the sure power pattern of her cryptic signs, her diagrams of geometric force, her potencies of marvel fraught design, courted employment by an earth nursed mind. A conscious nature's quick machinery, armed with the latent splendor of miracle, the prophet passion of a seeing mind, and the lightning bareness of a free soul force. All once impossible, all once impossible deemed could now become a natural limb of possibility, a new domain of normalcy supreme. An almighty occultist erects in space the seeming outward world which tricks the sense. He weaves his hidden threads of consciousness, He builds bodies for his shapeless energy. Out of the unformed and vacant vast, out of the unformed and vacant vast, he has made his sorcery of solid images, his magic of formative number and design, the fixed irrational links none can annul, this crisscross tangle of invisible laws. His infallible rules, his covered processes, achieve unerringly an inexplicable creation where our error carves dead frames of knowledge for a living ignorance.
That was a lot, but you did
Yeah.
very well. There's only one thing, and that was in the previous page, courted. Courted.
Courted.
When you court someone, you want to be their friend or their beloved.
Yeah,
So it's courted.
courted.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. I have to go.
Yes, thank you very much.
Namaste. You're welcome. Good session.